Osiris.
What's going on, y'all? It's Karina Reichman. I'm back on dry land, and I'm thrilled to be here with my main man, iBoogie, Isaac Sloan. How you doing, my dude?
Karina, I just want to hear about your 6 days at sea. We started to talk about it yesterday. I can only imagine there's more to tell. You were on Jam Cruise. What was that like?
You know, Isaac, it is a crazy event that they put on out there. This was like a notable gap, right, because of the pandemic. This is, I was on the last one in 2020, and then there hasn't been one since this year. That's 3 years of, like, holy shit, planning it, and boy, did they plan it. They crushed this shit. It's incredible. And, when I was on in 2020, I was on as, like, an artist at large, and I hosted a jam room, and I did a few really cool things. Among them, I did a sweet, very memorable super jam with Marcus King and Stanton and a bunch of people, and it was really cool. My jam room was awesome and featured lots of friends, Johnny Kimmock and Craig Broadhead and Aaron Magner and Holly Bowling, lots of fun stuff, But there's really nothing like the feeling of like, here's my band, here's my purpose, we've come here as a posse and we've come to have a great time, There's it's just a different feeling, so it was really, really fun to be there with my band. I played 2 sets, one in what they call the Black and White Lounge and one on the main stage, aka the pool deck. And man, it was a hell of a time out there. It's cool. Like they've structured it to the nines of a funk band would compete with a bluegrass band so that the funk people go to one place and the bluegrass people go another place, and they do that very intentionally. I heard, and very successfully, I would say. It is long. It is 6 days of very intense, not me, but intense partying around you, you know what I mean? And people who are ready to get after it in ways that they have never gotten after it before, It's an amazing thing kind of to behold. You're just in the middle of just like this floating party that seemingly never ends, and we talked about it. 6 days is like 3 weekends in a lot of ways, and it just keeps going and going and going. So it's a real marathon, not a sprint type thing. Music goes all night long, including our dear friend Mark Brownstein, aka DJ Brownie, was throwing it down in the Galaxy Disco.
I heard you got in the booth with him.
I did. He was like, Karina, you got to come in the booth. And I was like, sounds good. And then he handed me a hot mic, and I started just, spouting out the most inane, crazy shit of all time, including, you hippie ass motherfuckers ain't even ready for this. It's DJ motherfucking Brownie. Ba, 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 ba.
I mean, this really gives new meaning to the artist at large concept.
Sure. I mean, and I wasn't even one, but holy shit.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. You're redefining it.
I redefined it.
That's the kind of sit-down I really vie for.
Totally. And it was the type of thing where, he's dropping house beats and I'm just, rapping, I put my hand up on your hip when I dip, we dip, and hood up, let's go. Let me see ya tootsie roll to the left, to the right, just lunacy.
Well,
and it was
let's talk
great.
about this because you and Brownie kind of have this kinship in this kind of way of an appreciation for that style.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's definitely true. I mean, I am a tried and true hip hop head, and I love sort of all of that, like those two that I just referenced. That's very old school, I have a very large appreciation for the new school as well. But just that sort of absolute, it's just a feeling. You know what I mean? There's nothing too clinical about it. That's nothing.
Absolutely right.
You know what I mean?
It's a feeling.
It's a feeling, which I like about punk rock as well.
Well, I posted on Twitter talking about classic dance-off scenes in movies, and Brownie responded talking about a walk-off scene in Zoolander, and also, I guess, a scene in Pitch Perfect 2 that I haven't seen.
Wow.
But I was like, that's it. That's the feeling.
Yeah.
There's something about just getting hyped. Bringing a absolutely lunatic energy that is just the best.
There's nothing like it, and it can manifest itself in many forms. musically and of course otherwise. But in the musical sense, like, I've always felt that like metal and hip hop and punk are sort of derived from this sort of same sort of just gusto based thing, where you just go for it. It's about the gusto. It's not about the notes per se. You know what I mean? And I've always been drawn to that in a big way. So it's fun to be handed the mic by my equally crazy pal, and just this is 3:30 in the morning, like just spouting out all this crazy shit. He played a remix of Fame by David Bowie, and I just put on my best British accent, and I'm like, is it cold out in space, Bowie, 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 Bowie? And that's just the best. So that was great. I sat in with my dear friend Neil Francis in the theater, which was wonderful. We played Do You Think I'm Sexy by Rod Stewart.
Nice.
I sat in with the young and very spry and very talented Dogs in a Pile in the atrium for their Bikini Bottom themed SpongeBob set.
This I did not hear about.
And I played Ocean Man by Ween, which is featured prominently on the SpongeBob movie soundtrack.
That's right.
And I got, I'd never seen Dogs in a Pile before. We've been on literally every festival together for the last seemingly forever, but not really. It's probably been about 2 years, but I think we always have the same slot at these festivals on different days. So we sort of never run into each other in a big way. And man, these kids are great. Like, we had a really fun time. I really loved hanging out with them. They're slightly younger than me. They bring a real energy to the table. And their bass player, Sam, let me play, or rather asked if I would play his 6-string modulus bass, which was really fun. And, something I never do, which was cool. It was like I could do all these runs that just seemingly, I could go up and I could go down. And it was really fun to like hit a low E, you know what I mean? So that was a blast, and they threw down SpongeBob Styley in the atrium.
Have you seen the SpongeBob movie?
Absolutely, but not in probably 17 years.
The funny thing is I saw it on the theater on our block on 19th Street at the AMC there.
No shit.
Many
Back
years
in the
ago
day?
when it first came out in the theaters. I haven't seen it since.
Wow. Do you have a fond recollection of it?
I do.
Yeah.
There's a part where there's like a live action actor. I think it was like Chuck Norris or someone.
That's probably accurate.
Gets interspersed into the movie. That's my memory of it.
Sure. Do you remember the song like from SpongeBob, Stadium Rave? That's like bum 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 bum.
It rings a bell. I know Sweet Victory.
Sure.
Which is,
they closed
a
with
very
that.
Kind of classic SpongeBob song.
Sure. And they had Dan Kelly from Neighbor, the bass player, sit in with them on a few tunes as well. It was, and bass sit-ins are few and far between. So Dan and I were definitely celebrating being the people to join them for the set.
Nice.
So that was terrific. And, tons of incredible stuff. Some of my favorite stuff that I saw on the boat included the Fearless Flyers, which is sort of one of the top line billing, which includes Corey Wong, Joe Dart of Wolfpack fame, Mark Lettieri from Snarky Puppy, and Nate Smith on the drums, who is just an absolute disgusting animal of a player. The best thing, Nate Smith, not a cymbal, meaning just literally hi-hat. Sure, those are cymbals, but hi-hat, kick, snare, end of list. Made it sound like a 17-piece kit. The way, like the control, the technique, sometimes the hats are open, sometimes they're closed, sometimes you hit hard, sometimes you hit in the center, sometimes you hit on the side, like, unbelievable to watch that. And of course, their whole thing is how nasty they are at their instruments, and I'll tell you, they're fucking nasty at their instruments. So that was really fun and something to behold, and happened twice on the boat, which was really great. The Word, Galactic, Dumpsta Funk, lots of music in that sort of realm. Lots of, a little Smokies and Fruition on the other side of things. It was seemingly endless. It was really just a plethora of heady riches, as we like to say here on the podcast. And then finally, they boarded kind of late in the game. They boarded at Grand Turk, which is like the end of the cruise, if you will. But there was O'Teal and friends. O'Teal being joined by Steve Kimmock, Johnny Kimmock on the drums, father-son delight, let me tell you. And I say that, Johnny Kimmock's a very dear friend who I've played with quite a bit. But man, like, it's just so great to see them play together. It's incredible. Jennifer Hartswick, Jason Crosby, and Eric Krasnow. And it was really nice after what was sort of a very horn-heavy cruise, I would say, to hear, like, guitar music. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, Dark Star, you know? And, like, they played Piece of My Heart and, you know, a bunch of Allman Brothers. It was great, you know? And that came on, and Humphreys McGee came on late in the cruise as well, and they absolutely demolished shit. It was wonderful. Bands like La Special teaming up with Mike Dillon for something that they call FAC and A, which was also extremely refreshing because it was just like, oh my God, overdriven guitars and people chain smoking indoors, and like, you know, it brought some real punk rock, you know, metal, go fuck yourself energy to the table that I desperately was craving at that time. That's
really cool.
So that was really great, and I love those guys, and it was a time to be alive, Isaac. I definitely found myself, like, you know, because this is a great part of it, but the artists and the fans, like, there's no real delineation. There's no separate area for you to go to, really, except for, like, right before your set. There's, like, backstage, you know? But I found myself definitely sort of seeking refuge in different ways, including the salon. There's literally a salon where I got my hair blown out 3 days in a row, just because, like, that was, like, a 45 minutes where I was by myself, you know what I mean? But I wasn't in my cabin. You can always go back to your room and lock the door and whatever, but that sort of leaves a little something to be desired during the day, you know? So I would do that, and the casino provides, funnily enough, some refuge from music and crazy fans and, like, all this stuff, because you could sit, it's quiet, it's focused, it's sort of meditative, you could talk to your people, like, you know, it's less, and it's crazy to say that about a casino, but it's less crazy than the rest of the boat, you know what I mean? So I definitely found myself sort of seeking out these moments of, like, I can get away for a little bit if I go here, you know what I mean? And, like, it was it's yet again marathon, not a sprint. I would do it again in a heartbeat. My sets went over great, and it was a blast to be there, and people who love this fucking love it, and that's a great thing, you know what I mean? It's just like people who are there are so psyched to be there, and that's an energy that carries the whole thing, you know what I mean? People making fan art about the boat, you know, it's fan art with my face on it. I got a ton of crazy stuff. I got a customized pair of sunglasses that say badass bass Jam Cruise 23, like all this crazy stuff. It was amazing, like, you know, really amazing. So we had a total blast. My band will not let me pass up an offer to go back on Jam Cruise. I'll tell you that much. They had a blast, and that was a hell of a time, Isaac. Hell of a time.
I'm glad to hear it. I have never been on the boat, but, you know, I just hear that, like you're saying, once you go on, there's really something special that kind of transcends just one aspect of it. And, you know, I'm glad to hear that it was another successful year and that you brought the Untamed Rukus.
I think we brought the Untamed Rukus to the people. Yeah. If I were a betting man, I think yeah, that's the vibe. Oh, and I will say shout out my dear friend Chung, who is the stage manager for the pool stage, right? Also a crazy gambler. I don't want to use the word degenerate, even though he uses it about himself, but, like, you know, this man loves to gamble, right? So he would get the bands on stage on the pool, and then as soon as they were playing, come down to the casino and play a few hands and then come back up to get them off the stage, right? Chung, who we gambled with quite a bit, he sets us up on the pool stage. He even joins us for our pre-show huddle, which, you know, we change what we say every time, but we've been really rocking this. Why are you so stupid? Why are you so good? Why are you so stupid? Why are you so good? Hey, for reasons I won't go into, but we love it. Anyway, so Chung joins us for that. He's good to go. He watches us get on. He takes a bunch of videos, and then he goes down to the casino, places it all on 29 at roulette, and it hits. And he makes many thousands of dollars during our set. And comes right back up, happy as a clam, losing his mind, and it was just like one of those things where, and then he showed me, like, exactly, like, he literally put, like, it was all on 29, and, like, just the perimeter of it, so, like, you know, everything around it too, but, like, you know, just a crazy, crazy thing, and, shit like that. You know, when are you going to see that? The stage manager gets you on and then runs down 6 floors to the casino, places it all on one number, hits it big, comes back happy as a clam. That's some Jam Cruise shit. I love it. Go Chung. You are my dude.
I just want to backtrack for a second for when you were like, and then when I'm not bringing the ruckus, I'm either getting my hair blown out or I'm at the casino.
100%. It's like, that's where I'm, really happiest on the boat.
I just want to really drive that point home because it speaks to a lot of different things.
It's very funny. And my girl who blew my hair out every night, her name was Charisma, and my name is Karina. So we had a real Charisma and Karina interlocutor there, and man, they thought I was crazy to keep coming back, but I just couldn't stop. I got addicted to the blowout, and everybody thought I was getting my hair cut. I was like, no, just a little blow, just a little something on the side, just a little blowout. So that was a blast. Anyway, would go back. Jam Cruise 19, meaning next year is the 20th. Holy shit! How do they even pull this off? It's really an undertaking of extreme proportions. I recommend it. I think everybody should do it once, at least. That's my new take on it. But I'll tell you what, Isaac, something that we are wildly familiar with, something we can't stay away from, our Jam Cruise, if you will, it's called Phish Tour, and it just got announced.
Yes, this is a highly anticipated announcement. It feels like Phish fans were clinging to the edge of their seat for a few weeks now, and the dates dropped yesterday, as many people had predicted. And Karina, what do we got?
We got some important stuff here, Isaac. It starts on July 11th at the Orion Amphitheater in Huntsville, Alabama.
This is a new place.
2 nights there.
Yep.
Right? And then they kick it on down to Alpharetta after that for 3 nights.
A classic.
And then a place where you and I have seen Widespread Panic, which honestly, I'm so blown away that Phish is doing 2 nights here. Wilmington, North Carolina, the Live Oak Bank Pavilion.
Great place. I love
what
that
a place.
venue. We were there for its opening night.
That's fucking crazy. And
it was still a construction site.
Yeah, and it was awesome. I'm such a fan. And honestly, it seems small for Phish in a good way, such that, holy shit, if you find yourself in a position to get down to Wilmington, or you live in the Carolinas, you should probably go. I don't know. What a beautiful concept. And then we have 2 nights in Burgettstown, Pennsylvania, followed by 1 night in Syracuse at the St. Joseph's Health Amphitheater. Then 2 nights at the Man. By the way, we're at the 2 nights at the Man are July 25th and 26th. And then, Isaac, we have a whopping 7 shows at Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. Let's stop here for a second, because this was highly rumored, that there would be either a Baker's Dozen reprise or a Sweet 16.
Yes.
And we have been given what we call a Baker's Dozen for ants.
Right. Well, I guess the idea was that there would be a redux of the Baker's Dozen, and then there was some rumor because of the Harry Styles 15-night residency that they would try to top that, go the extra mile for their 40th year, Sweet 16, and now they've scaled it back. But you know what? I'm going to be that guy. Nobody does 7.
Nobody does 7. No,
and
my God,
our
yeah.
band just doing 7.
I'm dead.
I'm going to be that guy. I'm like, only Phish can do 7.
Dude, 7 is the number.
5 has been done. 13 has been done. Now they're going for 7.
Yo, I mean, listen, I can't, it's so over the top, and I had no insider information. I didn't ask any questions. I didn't, you know what I mean? I had no concept of it was originally 13 and they scaled it back. I have not a clue in the world. I don't ask, you know what I mean? It's all just a complete miracle. I don't know.
Well,
it's
I'll
crazy.
tell you, I had tons of insider information, was asking lots of questions, and I did not see 7 coming.
7 was different, dude. 7's different. So that takes place between July 28th and August 5th. You can see Phish at Madison Square Garden. That is fucked up. What an amazing concept. Holy shit.
Tell people why you feel that.
Well, I feel that way just because, first of all, it's in a big way a selfish, I happen to live very close to the Garden. We're both born and raised Manhattanites, Isaac. It's, number 1, convenience. And number 2, I think it's widely argued that, whether or not you live here, Phish at the Garden is tried and true for many reasons. They play their asses off there. There's nothing like what it feels like. There's nothing like what it looks like. They inhabit that space unlike any other band, I would argue. And I have seen many a band from Metallica to Ricky Martin there. And those are great examples. Anyway, it's just like nothing else. And I think you don't have to be a jaded Manhattanite to say that. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. And the only thing I would add is that I'm looking forward to the way that New York City in the summer embraces what's going to be going down. I will be at the last 4 of these shows. I look forward to every moment.
It's a beautiful thing, and it's really true. And if we hearken back to the summer of 2017 with the 13 shows at Madison Square Garden, all these pockets of different heady shit start popping up, and all these promoters start trying to throw together, these pre-shows and these after shows, and Lord knows there's going to be like 12 Osiris things that we're going to want to do, and you know what I mean? Like whatever is going to happen. It's cool, the sort of supplemental, hippied out vibe that kind of permeates New York when this shit happens and when people come to town for it. So I'm wildly excited about that. And then, of course, it is also extremely tried and true in the same way that Phish at Dick's Sporting Goods Park over Labor Day weekend, it has just become ingrained in our nation's history. This happens, and this is great. And people flip shits, go nuts, travel from far and wide to be there, Isaac. And this is going down from August 31st through September 3rd in Colorado. I've only done this once. I had a great time. People go absolutely out of their minds to go and see Phish at Dick's. I think it's a fantastic phenomenon, and I encourage everybody to do it at least once, much like Jam Cruise.
I think it's great. I've been there a number of times. I love it. This Labor Day weekend, I will be at the MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, to see Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. This is our next story. The E Street Band is on tour. They announced a stadium leg yesterday that takes them all the way through the end of December. Not all stadiums, some arenas too, and also a bunch of shows in Canada. This is amazing. Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band on tour for the first time since 2016. They opened in Tampa. All of the shows are streaming on Nugs a few hours after the show. I guess maybe a few days after the show. And Bruce is in top form, Karina, I gotta say.
It's a beautiful thing. I mean, I'm just very excited that, 72, 73 years young, right? Still putting on a 3-hour show every night.
Yes, it's a 2-hour, 50-minute concert straight, no set break.
That is shocking. It's shocking at any age, and it's shocking at that age, and it should be applauded regardless of any of it.
Well, I tend to watch the show kind of come in. He's only been switching up 2 or 3 songs a night at this point. Usually later in the tour, you'll get a more varied set list. But I'll check the set list right when the show starts, and I've just, maybe just winding down dinner.
Wow.
And then I'll do some work, clean up, maybe turn on the television, and then I'll check the set list, and he's just in the middle of the show. And then I'll be winding down and getting ready for bed, and the 6-song encore is just beginning. It's really tremendous. I cannot wait for the shows to get here. There's going to be a number of shows in the tri-state area on this leg before the stadiums in later summer. He's playing the Garden. He's playing the Prudential Center in Jersey, 2 nights at the UBS Arena, Philadelphia. I'm going to. It's just going to be really amazing to see that guy on stage again. And a lot of new material. He put out an album of soul covers.
That's amazing.
Called Letter to You.
Yeah.
Yep. And he's playing that material, and things going as far back as the E Street Shuffle, and I can't wait to see him.
He's a true American hero, a real icon, and it's amazing. Also, the way, obviously, I mean, it's almost completely out of hand the way the tickets for this particular tour have kind of popped off in an inflation kind of, everybody's clamoring over the tickets such that the ticket prices get inflated, blah, 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 dynamic pricing, all of this craziness. But you say, Isaac, that on some of these sort of, off the beaten path markets, you can get Springsteen tickets for like $22. Is that correct?
Yeah, it seems to be that way, that although the clamoring for tickets is still very real, and certainly in the tri-state area, Madison Square Garden for one night, that is a hard ticket. With the shows in Florida, there were tickets available day of at decent prices. And then on the secondary market for, like Dallas, Texas, and Tulsa, Oklahoma, their tickets I'm looking at right now as low as $11.
That is
to get
crazy.
in the building, which is rather, wild, as we're saying. Even Cleveland, Ohio, in April has tickets. Obviously, is still very expensive, but for $150, which is not the $500 plus price tags we were seeing. And so I have, I don't know what to really make of this.
I mean, it's crazy in the sense that, like, let's say you're a tri-state area fan, right? And you can't get into the Garden, and, to get in the door is, $750 in the last row or whatever it is, something completely unreasonable, right? But you want to fly to Tulsa, Oklahoma, you get yourself on a shitty Spirit flight, it costs you, I don't know, $110, and then you pay $11 to get in the door, you see Springsteen in Tulsa, and, you round trip it back, you're probably going to spend much, much less than you would on the worst ticket at the Garden, which is a shocking concept.
It's pretty wild to me, and I guess I don't know what it, part of me worries about it, that's unstable for,
oh, yeah,
a lot of reasons. And then part of me is like, well, it's great that people are getting a chance to go see Springsteen, who really thought that they were not going to be able to. Of course, there's still a contingent of people who are furious that he priced tickets the way that, he did or his team did on the initial on sale,
sure,
or, whatever. That are actually saying, no, I won't go for that very reason. But a lot of people who thought their chances were very slim are finding ways to go to these shows.
It's an incredible and bizarre and complicated, it's sort of wrought with complication at the end of the day.
Well, it's kind of like, I mean, I hate to draw this comparison because they're both problems and one is very different than the other, but it's kind of like when we have a nice day in the unseasonably nice day in the winter.
It's
and
totally
we're like, look, it's beautiful out, but this is also very alarming that the temperature of the planet is rising.
Yes, totally. And it's like, oh wow, no light jacket weather, great. And it's like, ooh, but there's sort of this sort of darker underbelly there that's kind of hard to ignore. Yeah, which is definitely how, I think that's a wonderful comparison, I say. Where it's like you're going to be there being like, whoa, Wendy, down at the Jersey Shore, and you're going to be throwing your hands in the air like you just don't care, and it's going to be the best night of your life, but you're also like, ooh, but I paid $1,700 to be here? Do I have to sleep under the bridge tonight? What's going on? It's very complicated.
Right. Or I paid $11 while the person next to me paid
$1,700. Yeah. Very, wrought with complication. But honestly, Isaac, the way you segued from Phish into Springsteen, if we could, go back 15 minutes, was so pro.
Well, it's I've been segueing from Phish into Springsteen and back for a lot of my life at this point. And there was something about yesterday when both announcements dropped that really felt like 2009 when Springsteen was playing, the Wrecking Ball run at Giant Stadium.
I
the
remember
last
that.
shows there, and Phish was back on tour for the summer and then in the fall and playing the Garden in December. And it was like there was some kind of familiar, joyful feeling.
It's an amazing thing. And by the way, these things both dropped on Valentine's Day. And boy, I know what I love. Phish and Bruce Springsteen, honey. Cupid's chokehold. And on that note, Isaac, I am really stoked for a few shows I have coming up personally. Talk about Cupid's chokehold. Live music. It's got a chokehold on me, honey. Can't
Tell the
stop.
people how you feel.
I'll tell you what, I am going to truck it up after being on a boat for 17 years. 6 days. We're going. This is the craziest part of this whole thing. It's like you have a few days at home, feels kind of normal, whatever. Then you're like, oh, gotta get in the car and drive 5.5 hours up to Portland, Maine, baby. And we're doing 2 nights opening for Mo at the State Theater in Portland, Maine. State Theater is enormous. and beautiful. And such legends such as Brandi Carlile just played there yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, that type of shit is just, like, sick. You know what I mean? So, and I'm really excited to be there. I have only seen photos and videos and glimmering reviews and reports from friends and enemies. Just kidding. Strangers. And I look forward to being there. So I'm opening, this Friday and this Saturday. And then the following weekend, I will just be opening one of their 2-night stand. But the same band, Mo, up in Albany at the Palace Theater, which I dropped you off at about a week and a half ago to go see the Disco Biscuits on our way back from Burlington, opening for those guys. And I had never seen the Palace Theater. Isaac, I'm like beside myself that I get to play such an ornate, enormous, beautiful theater. Like, that fucks me up.
It's one of my favorite rooms, and there's a real indescribable beauty of it, that on the one hand you could look at photos and go, wow, how ornate. And on the other hand, when you step foot in there, something about getting off the highway and being in Albany and then walking in there, you're like, this is a very cool destination for live music.
It's insane. I was so glad that I got to see it just, for in the 15 minutes that we were there, dropping you off and saying hello to the Disco Biscuits. Hello and goodbye. But that really kind of, I've never been there. It really kind of drew and I don't know. I can't believe I'm allowed to play a note of music in a place that beautiful. It's fucking crazy.
Well, I look forward to trucking up there with you.
Looking forward to it too, pal. That's going to be amazing. And that's sort of my hot goss as of right now, which is amazing. It's not hot goss, but it's what's happening.
It's what's happening.
Dude, and we'd like to thank our mainest man, RJB. He's back at the control center at Osiris HQ. He puts us on. He makes it rain. Thanks, RJ. We really love you long time, my friend. And we look forward to hanging soon and getting some dinner at some point, whether it's in Philly, New York, somewhere other than those two places. It's going to be great. And I feel like we should put a bow on this thing, Isaac. What do you say?
I think that's right.
What a beautiful time to be alive. Here at Inappropriate Happiness HQ, we wish you a wonderful week ahead. And, I think we really play, I obviously we had to miss last week because I was on a boat with like very questionable cell service, Wi-Fi and everything of that, ilk. But I'm really looking forward to making this, getting back on the horse and making it very regular again. Make Inappropriate Happiness every week. Once more, we got this, pal.
Those are going to be pins on the next Jam Cruise. You're going to be handed a whole stash of those.
Can't wait to come home with a stash of those. Until then, everybody, from my lips to Jaws' ears, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I've been jumping turnstiles, hailing taxis with intent. Do you need directions? I bet it's not where you're from.
Osiris.